Hello, internet people. How you doing today? You doing good? I hope so. So today, I managed to get a lot done that I wasn't expecting. For a work day where I was just doing, like, courses online, I kind of lost track of time, and I fixed an Xbox, I fixed a PlayStation, and I got a Commodore 64 that has been flaky and unreliable, able to start and run and behave a bit better than before, but I haven't actually put it through its paces yet. And I thought, let's do a bit of a gamble. Let's put up the stream, get it propped up and running, and then start just testing random things. Let's load some games. Let's see if we can get a demo to run. And if it runs, great. We can maybe go for an hour or two, or if it just blows up, then I'm just gonna forget this ever happened, and then I'm just gonna very slowly walk away. Yeah. But enough stalling. Let's switch on over to the video capture. And there we go. And there she be. Isn't that incredible? We are in the 21st century right now. All right. So, I don't know if anybody here has actually seen I don't know if anybody here has actually seen a Commodore 64 before. But when you start these things up, you don't really actually, this is your operating system. It's the programming environment. That's why it says beside 38911 it says basic bytes free. What it's talking about there is how much memory out of your 64 kilobytes is available to the programming environment, which is basic. So if you boot this thing up, well, yeah, you know what? It would be booting. If you boot this computer up and you don't put a cartridge in it, it loads basic. So you're immediately dropped into a programming environment. But that's not what we're going to do. What I'd like to try is seeing how far we can take this thing before it starts to malfunction. I do have some very odd modifications to make this run, partly because of a shortage of parts. So I was missing a bunch of capacitors. The guy who sold me the repair or rebuild kit forgot a bunch of parts, so I had to kludge my own, like a 2.2 microhenry inductor. So I had to wrap a bunch of coil around a bolt and solder that in. Fortunately, I did change that out because it started shorting on things. He forgot to give me two 1800 picofarad capacitors, so I had to stack 4 or 5 together to equal that amount, and then try and solder that in to the through holes twice. But enough of that. I want to see if I can. I'm going to try going from the hardest thing that this can run to the easiest thing this can run. And so the hardest thing to run is a demo. And when I say a demo, I don't mean like a game demo. I'm talking the demo scene. And the demo scene, let's see if I got this right. I can't remember how to change floppies on here, but we're going to figure it out together. I don't have a real floppy drive for this thing. I have a Raspberry Pi with a special hat on it to talk over serial to the actual Commodore, so I'm just going to load the floppy disk. Okay, so we're going to go load star, comma 8, comma 1. So it's going to copy. Oh, come on, enter. Searching for star. Okay, it is loading the floppy, or rather the virtual floppy. So, the first thing is that this is going to check is the RAM, because if I can't load into RAM, it's going to tell me right away something like out of memory error or the screen's going to get all garbled. So is it going to do that? Ooh, scary. Okay. So the other modification is Commodores use a type of RAM called dynamic RAM. And what's special about it is that if you write data into this type of RAM, you have to come back a few milliseconds later and rewrite the data back in, or it fades away. Dynamic RAM is really cheap, which is why the Commodore uses it. And when programmers are figuring out how to like stretch the get as much horsepower out of this thing as possible, they found out they can exploit that deterioration to do either special effects or some computing tricks. I don't have dynamic RAM in here. I have a single really big static RAM chip instead. So we're gonna see if it acts up. Run. So if I do this, okay, please insert disk 1 side A. I might have goofed up changing the floppy out. Let's double check that. It should have loaded by now. I will start that over. Load. 8, 1, enter. Okay, disk side 2 is selected by holding down switch 2 while pressing one of the other buttons. Disk change. How do we do a disk change? Disk change. That's how to do it using the keyboard and mouse, but I want to do it from the buttons. Multi-disk. Run. So this one? Pop list. Yeah. Blam blam. Oh, hi! Airy Fox, how are you? You doing good? I hope so. We are doing a test on a Commodore 64 today. And, oh, let's see here. I'm shaking off the rust on this, because this has been out of commission for a very long time, and so a lot of the tools I use to run it, I've forgotten how they work, so I'm taking this time to kind of learn that too. Or relearn it, I should say. Let's check here. You have to queue the files. Refine press. We go. Oh. Select. Down, select. Add. Add. Down. Add. Up. Select. Okay. That should do. I have to tell it how many beforehand. Output capture? Oh yes, yes, there is. It's just oddly silent because I don't have anything playing at the moment. But I decided to subject this thing to the hardest thing I can think of, to then the easiest thing, and then from there we can kind of figure out what this is capable of and what additional work I gotta do. And my thoughts are, if it blows up... Oh, damn, the cat clock locked up. There we go. Keep magic smoke inside Genie Lamp. Yes, I intend to, but at the same time, I've done some things to drag this over the finish line that I'm not particularly proud of. The fella who I bought the rebuild kit from, really nice person, but forgot a lot of parts, and including some capacitors. So I have like a stack of 4 or 5 capacitors together, stuffed through a single through-hole component, and I'm like, oh, I'm amazed it works. Well, we'll take it. I'm proud of my work, but I don't take pride in my work. I'll put it that way. Cow pastures need a stuffing sometimes. Yes, indeedy. Alright, so now that I figured out how to do the multi-disc definition here, or how to define the multi-disc, we will... Okay, run. Alright, so now I should be able to go down. That's looking better. It's loading, or it's showing a reading. It is not loading it in. Let's see if it does it. If it doesn't, then we'll try another demo, a single disc demo. And if that doesn't work, then we'll switch to a game. And then if that doesn't work, then we know I gotta pull this back and try again. So it's flipping between track 51 and 52. hard actual or a ROM image? This is a physical Commodore 64, but I don't have an actual disk drive, and I have no intention of I don't have any intention of getting a floppy drive. So I have a Pi 1541 taking the job of the floppy drive. So that didn't go so well, so we'll try next one. Nope, okay. Let's try a single floppy demo instead. Demo. Let's see. This one? Single? No. This one doesn't need the second floppy until later. Oh, I should. Okay. Third time's a charm. Oh, LOAD. 8, 1. It is still alive. It did not blow up, but it is being difficult. But then again, like, that's kind of the point of me trying to do the demos first, is seeing where it falls over. So the main differences I've got in this are, yeah, those capacitors. Most of the parts that aren't Commodore proprietary, those are still in there. Like, there's no modern replacement I've put in. But I'm also using static RAM instead of dynamic until two dynamic RAM chips come in. So I'm using an adapter board, which might be part of the issue. Ooh. Is it gonna? Moment of truth. Come on. Okay. So I think demos are out of the question. Your background purple is similar to mine. The... Oh yeah, because I'm running in PAL, so... Because most of these are written for British stuff. It's bouncing between track 51 and 52. Okay. So... Looks like demos seem out of the question, so let's do some games. Here's a simple one. I picked my color, but there is an aesthetic to it for sure. You know, it's funny you bring that up because the Commodore's color scheme is known as one of the ugliest. But I really do like that shade of purple as well. Or rather, I don't agree. I think if you use the colors right, it comes out very nice. I see scan lines on the capture. Is that a screen filter? I guess it has to be. I see it on chat too. What you're seeing on the Commodore is what it is. But the scan lines are part of shaders I put together. If you're noticing distortion from my voice, that's a shader as well. I'm glad you like it. Based. I am a hip and with it young parson now. I have been called based. Well, that's the system temperature, not the track. Track 27. I guess it has to be a connector adapter from the video output. Well, I'm using, so to capture it, I'm doing just straight up RCA. Because the connector on the back of the C64, but VCR filters exist too. Yeah, but what I'm actually using is I've got a cable on the back that goes to RCA, and then I do have an adapter board that goes from composite to RGB, and then that goes to the open source scan converter, and then I capture it from there. You'd think there would be a larger delay, but there really isn't. Oh, here we go. Oh, there we go. Loading. Sound chip's working. Okay, sorry. I don't have a SID in here. I have an Arduino clone that I can drop in instead. Everything else, like all the other like main compute chips, are Commodore still, just because I can't afford the FPGA alternatives right now. Oh, here we go. Video is looking okay. I was concerned about the color RAM for a while. I did a little pre-rendered screen overlay for my own use. Neato. Music on. I think I have this... Alright. Okay. It absolutely was. It absolutely was some top level shit. Ow. Honestly, I think it's just that the music dragged a lot of these games across the finish line. So it does play games just fine, but a lot of those, like, it seemed like all the demos I tested just weren't cutting it. Which makes sense, because I am doing some really weird shit. There is a notable delay, but there's not a lot I can do about that. Revolutionize the notion of gaming. You know, it's... like, I know it's fun to look back and go, like... and go, haha, this game is terrible. And it is, in modern standards, but, again, with what resources were available on these things at the time, like computing resources, it's a miracle you were able to do anything at all. You would like the music from my streams. Oh yeah? I use a MIDI player with VST. Sounds like a fancy arcade retro. It's dope. Oh, that's great. I was having a really rough go with MIDI a few weeks ago. I was playing System Shock, like the original one, and it does not. It runs well on Linux with Wine, or rather Steam Proton, or Valve Proton. What doesn't run well is MIDI, because you're not. Damn it. Because you're not given a MIDI player or a MIDI synthesizer out of the gate. What am I dying on there? Robust and fanciful. Maybe it's that I just don't have my mind fully wrapped around it, but... Uh-oh. If the big circle of code doesn't let it in, it stays out. What was the server I had to put in again? It wasn't Timidity. Timidity was my backup. Yes, I had to implement 2 and fail over to the other. Because it just kept cratering for me. Granted, part of the issue is Linux. I know, right? Like, you'd think a little game like this, with music the way it... What was I trying to say earlier? Yes, when you had titles like this, you couldn't really do much with the game. You could pay a composer to make something really good to just convince people to buy it that way, but MIDI. Yes, MIDI. That's why it was AAA. Maybe I got a problem with the CIA chip. Because this controller's in good condition. Wonder how I can get my hands on a better CIA chip. Because that could affect loading, too. One stellar example I have of, like, a game that's... My computer is a pure Franken shit. Oh yeah, you do, you kludge your machine together too, hey? I was telling this to another fella, like... Real computer enthusiast. I will not use black cables. I will use ketchup mustard cables. Not kludge, shame. So yes, I will use ketchup mustard cables unabashedly. And the main reason I will do that, it's so I know what voltages are going through what line, so I know where to cut the insulation to tap in something else. And no, I apologize for nothing in doing that. 12 volts is 12 volts. I don't care where it comes from. Did that just... one neat thing about the SID chip, like the synthesizer chip in this, I didn't know this till someone else told me, but I went and looked it up and he was right. No two Commodore SID chips sound the same. And the way it was described to me, the way it was documented, the case wall is propped up and leaned on the case for extra aerodynamics, and all of the extension cables connected to my motherboard. That's beautiful, and I am very proud of you. I'm of the opinion of I don't care what it looks like, I care that it runs, and that is a stellar example of that. Does it run? Yes. You get... Everything else is bonus points. She starts, she runs, and that's all you can ask. Thought about trying to make good, then I just piled shit on top and tried the boot sequence. And she ran, and you probably went, fuck it, that's good enough, and that's how we went with it. I concur with that. Hence, wall propped up outside. Oh. Oh, hey, Pastry, how are you? You can't walk away from your crimes. I have not. I could have 100 years and probably still never get what you've done. Oh, Oh, I'm sorry. Give me a minute here. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. I was wondering what happened there. Sorry I didn't, I'm sorry I didn't answer those, Pastry. I had my user interface... Well, I had my scene a little messed up. Alright, let's see. Where else do I need to go in this? Okay, so we know this works. Okay. Run, stop, restore? Or is it... Alright, we'll give this a bounce. So what I got the 130 game CD that came with Daggerfall. Daggerfall? My friend gave me that and Daggerfall when I got into it in 2004. Oh, wow. Uh-oh. So this is a drawback of static RAM. So I just shut the machine off, and I put it back on, but the contents of RAM were still there. And it is grumpy. I want to see. That is CRAM. Let me see. C64 soft reset. Shift clear. Okay, jump machine code. Okay, so this is the reset button. Shoots a hardware reset. By doing so, it sets back to the switch on state. Well, shit. Okay. We're gonna wait for it to... We're gonna wait for it to deteriorate a little bit. Holding stop and hitting restore trigger will issue an NMI. After that, use sys 64738 to initiate a warm boot. Alright. This is where game creepypastas come from. Okay. I'm glad you bring this up, because... Stuck RAM. Well, a lot of the, like, strange malfunctions you have in video games, and just, like, how distressing the sight and sound is kind of enough to make people, like... It can traumatize a little kid. So then you have... Yeah, random things little gamer brains don't comprehend. And that's exactly it, right? And so now there's this whole culture of scary things related to, like, malfunctioning retro games, because that's kind of what they do. Like, as they get old. And, like, honestly, I gotta be honest, like, the sounds they make when they goof up are really distressing. I've been traumatized by some of the things a game will do. Here, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna switch it off at the power supply. Okay. So, I've got stuck RAM. I know what to do. So what this should do is wipe the RAM, but I am going to need to make a reset button. Which is fine, there are ways you can do that. Okay, so one of the things is, with these cartridges, there is a reset circuit in it. So if somebody slaps in a cartridge when they're not supposed to, it's supposed to just reset the machine. Okay. Now let's pop the cartridge out, start it up. It should not load to Auf Wiedersehen Monty, because it overwrote that part. Motherfucker. Now this is the stuff people came to see, didn't they? I knew it was gonna show its cracks on the stream. but I was a fool and I chose to continue anyway. All right. You didn't get much further than that. Okay, I want it to... There we go. So now it is over doing a RAM check, so it has to fill the RAM with junk. And then it's going to read it back. Okay. Let's see if the content is still in RAM. It better not be. Son of a bitch. Look at it. Oh, you know what? Let's roll with it. This is good. This is good. Let's go with let's we'll take it. Hee. Leave Gibraltar. The music's still there. Poor and Oni. I do not appear to be on screen anymore. So we... Oh my god, this is amazing. Screen doesn't track player anymore. You can still win, though. So here's what I'm doing. I think I'm off screen, and I'm either moving around, and thus changing the contents of RAM, or it really is just corrupted. Because I am moving around, like I am holding the controls and press and jump. Okay, let's do a full diagnostic. Now, the full diagnostic is going to report some failings. Actually, you know what I might do? I'm going to go get the test harness. We'll do a full diagnostic on stream. Why not? Why not? Okay. So, in order to do the full diagnostic, I gotta pop the aerial out, keep the video on. We're gonna pop the top off. Take that out. Take that out. Okay, do not connect reverse. So we're gonna go pin 1. And we're gonna do the cassette port. And we're going to do the user port. Right. You know, since they permitted multi-streaming, I decided to take advantage of it. Not because I'm popular enough to warrant it, but I mean the opportunity is there. But one of the side effects of that is I do a very bad job juggling conversations, and then I'm always concerned I offended somebody who I really didn't mean to offend at all. Actually, I think I've said this story before, but in my early years, oh hi Mark. Mark gets up from chair, full sprints off rooftop to avoid diagnostic. Yeah. I mean, it's not the funnest thing on earth, but I had a feeling it would act up. But yes, in my first few weeks doing this, I chose to play Dwarf Fortress, and a fellow was very nice to come on and give points and tips and tricks, but I didn't notice, and all I know is the fellow was getting progressively angrier that I wouldn't respond to him. And then I learned near the end that he just finally just threw his hands up and walked away, and I'm like, oh. I'm, I mean, there's some comfort in me knowing that that part of my skill set has not changed. I'm still forgetting that people have said things to me. All right. So what's going to happen now with this full test harness is it's going to check every chip. Interrupts. Okay. Okay. That was one full diagnostic, and it passed. And all the components say they passed. So, that's good. So why did it not load those games earlier? Or why did it not load that demo earlier, I should say. It's nice that the diagnostic's pretty quick. That I appreciate. Alright. And we'll flip it on. Oh, I forgot to hook up the phone. Oh, actually, I forgot to take out the loop back for the serial port. That would have been bad. Oh, left the cartridge in. Alright, cartridge out. On. There we go, the content's finally gone out of RAM. My god. Oh, alright. Let's go. Load. All right, so I'm loading up a particularly cute but violent game called Creatures. And if it holds together long enough, then that means we'll be able to see one of the boss battles. All right, let's see if it keeps loading here. It should be. It's moving tracks, so that's good. Yep, track 11. Okay, so it is changing tracks. It is actually loading data in. Run. Go. It's good music. Culture. Oh, no. Alright, do you want unlimited lives? You want unlimited time? You know what? I'm gonna be a sneak. I'm gonna be a bastard, and I'm gonna say yes and yes. That green LED is bright, man. I'm getting a blind spot. Oh, did you hear about what happened to fellas in those what are they? Those investors in non-fungible tokens? And they went to a party. There was this big fancy event where you had to have one of these NFTs to be part of it. And somebody goofed up and got some cheap ultraviolet lights, thinking they were black lights. No, they were sanitizing lights, so they were UV. And so they basically burnt everyone at the party. And some folks got vision damage. Like, I shouldn't laugh, but I mean, that is kind of funny. It's kind of funny to me that nobody caught that. Alright. Clyde Radcliffe's exterminates all the unfriendly, repulsive, earth-ridden slime. I had to put the song now. Yep. So this is Creatures. And you know, it's holding together. It is holding together. Find the wrong controller port. Well, I'm actually in no controller port. There we go. So that's controller port 1. Sometimes they put this stuff in controller port 2. There we go, that's what it was. So this is the whole level. You know, let's hold them together. Previously, I couldn't get very far at all. It would be cratering, like, or start corrupting right away. Owl Nation, run. Collect the creatures for magic potions. Oh, that's what those 3 are, okay. Oh, I dealt with him. Get bent. You know, to this day, I still cannot get a comfortable controller for these platforms. I got... Granted, the same controller I use for the 64 is the same one I use for the Amiga, which is a... I think what do they call it? A Kempson style controller. Somebody found, like, or made a drop-in adapter board, so if you have like a mangled old NES controller, you can convert it into a Commodore and Amiga one. It's just... HIDs were not good back then. So it's good to know I can tank a hit like that if I have to. I don't want to, but I can. Oh, I forgot he's got that. He uses a hairdryer to get around. Or is that a desk fan? I like Sid chip music, honestly. So, what cool stuff, Harry Fox? What cool stuff have you managed to get done with standard MIDI? Because when I think of MIDI, I'm thinking of either like some like large commercial outfit that has like millions of dollars in licensing for audio samples, or general MIDI done by an FM synthesizer. God, this level is still going. How am I supposed to get around this guy? Well, like that, I guess. Oh my god, that was cheap. Do I at least get a... Okay, good, I got a checkpoint. I felt cheated there, I must say. Oh, I thought that was one of the things I was supposed to collect. Well, now I feel like an asshole. Okay, so what really drives me nuts is it unloads my projectiles if I land on one of the lily pads. Oh, shit. Come on, you. Nice. All right. Can I just not deal with them? Is that what that is? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I get it. So something else got eliminated near the top of the level, so I think that there are some monsters that aren't affected when you hit their body. You have to hit something else. Like something that's linked to their body. Alright. So I don't have a lot, oh no. I was about to say, I don't have a lot of hit points left. I only have the one. Oh, dude. Okay, well, at least I know how to deal with this. I have to blow fire on this. That monster got eliminated. Now I can get across unscathed. Right, I don't need to be there. I already collected that. Ah, yes. Ah, yes. Ah. I got greedy. I got greedy. Okay, this is running very well. Before I did the rebuild, this thing would have been very unstable by now. Because when the system started heating up, it started acting very strange. So now we know that the problems it has are related to design, not related to, like, design and implementation, not like an actual hardware fault. Actually, you know what? That's not entirely true. Once the dynamic RAM comes in and I pull the static RAM out, we'll see how it behaves. So that's the next test. Because we already had that experience with Auf Wiedersehen Monty not unloading and not being able to drop back into basic. Damn it. Alright, I do need to be up there. Or else I can't dispatch this one enemy blocking the way. I thought I could sneak out from under there, but I can't. I thought I was gonna be so smart, but I was not. Alright, so it is the middle of the work week, so I can't go too terribly long with this, but I did need to put this thing through its paces well proper, and it's... We've seen what this thing can and cannot accomplish. What I think I'm gonna do is I'll continue streaming till around the 2-hour mark. And then see from there what to do. Oh, that was cutting it close. What was that? That is cheap, that's what that was. Okay, that was a checkpoint at least. Oh, here's a boss fight. Oh, no. That was not fun. Okay, so last time I actually played this was before rebuilding this Commodore, and it had spectacularly imploded by now. And boom. So this game is supposed to be very gory as time goes on. As in, like, a side character gets chewed up with a chainsaw. Either that might be the second one. Whichever one it is, I can't remember. But... Still, this is a pretty good game. Here's something I learned. Actually, not that I learned. I knew this for quite some time, but I just realized it now. The Commodore 64, a stock one, runs at 1.02 something megahertz in North America. But in PAL regions, it's 0.985 megahertz. So it is 980 kilohertz. It's not even 1 megahertz. And I just realized, like, holy shit. That's what they were measuring, like, mini computers in the 60s with, is in kilohertz. Like, it's not even 1 megahertz. Oh, I was... Did it kick me? I think I did bugger it up a little bit. I think that was me, though. I think I managed to both die and clear the level at the same time. But I think that one is not a problem with the Commodore. I think that was my fault. I might change out that green LED on that disk drive, because it is like... It is really bugging my eye. Just gonna cover that up with another piece of electronic kit not related to this machine that I've just left on the desk. Ooh, I got both of them. There we go. Very nice. Damn it. Jump across. Not gonna make me go all the way back, is it? Oh, thank God. Yeah, I appreciate the checkpoints very much, even if they're not clearly marked. Jump. So I'm pretty chuffed with what went down today. So today I managed to get a broken down Xbox into an operating condition. And I managed to get an original PlayStation with a burned out disk drive to load this, like, it's this open source ODE. It's supposed to be like an open source clone of the X Station called the Pico Station. But the neat thing is, if for some reason I don't like the Pico Station, I can just buy an X Station and drop it in, because all of the modifications I've done to the motherboard to make that work is done already. But I was troubleshooting for days why it wouldn't work, because what it makes you do as part of setting up the X Station, and by extension the Pico Station, is they make you disable the clock, like one of the onboard clocks to control, I think, the disk drive or something. I can't remember which one. It doesn't actually say in the documentation which clock you're dicking around with, just that you are. But then it's the job of the X Station or the Pico Station to do the job of that clock, which means if for some reason you screwed up the board, or God, this is being a nuisance. If you've messed up connecting the board up, or you've messed up the board itself, the PlayStation won't start, and there's no real way to figure out which one it is unless you've, like, really screwed the board up. Like, really screwed it up to the point where it's obvious, like, visually obvious, or you have to bust out an oscilloscope. But I managed to get that going. And I learned it's because I accidentally installed the, okay, so this board is called the Pico Station because it's got a Raspberry Pi Pico in it, which is a microcontroller. Well, I accidentally plunked in the microcontroller upside down. So yeah, I feel smug that I fixed something of my own stupidity, but I mean, still, I can celebrate my victories. Okay, though, in my defense, the pin 1 indicator on the board is so small, there would have been no way for me to have found it unless I, like, unless I did what I had done. And what I had done was I got desperate and I just started looking at the motherboard schematic in hopes that maybe it provided some clues as to what I did wrong, like putting a diode backwards or something. But that's not what it was. I didn't put a diode backwards. I put the largest component on the board backwards. So then you ask yourself, well, how did you put a component the size of a stick of gum upside down without knowing it? Well, Mr. Softball McInterviewson, I didn't know because the pin 1 indicator on board was so small. I kind of did a comparison. I actually have an old needle from a dress shirt I had. Like, you know, sometimes they hold it together during shipment with just standard needles. In this entire board, the pin 1 indicator was smaller than the head of a needle. So across this whole big-ass board, well, big-ass board, it's about the size of, what's a good thing to compare it to? It's about the size of, like, slightly larger than a business card, maybe like some kind of coupon. And across that entire thing, the pin 1 indicator was smaller than a pinhead. So yeah, I missed it, like a goof. Okay, I like how generous the spawn point is. Or, like, the checkpoints are. Just think, they were able to do all this shit with 980 kilohertz. Not even megahertz. 980 kilohertz. So let's do the math here. So 1 megahertz. Okay, 1 megahertz is... Sorry. 1 gigahertz is 1,000 megahertz. So less than... And the highest clock speed we can achieve today on regular consumer hardware is about the 5 gigahertz wall. They call it like the 5 gigahertz barrier or the 5 gigahertz wall. So it's 5 gigahertz. So more than 1/5000th the computing power. And they were able to pull this off. I did it again. So I died at the respawn point. You know what? Let's try another game. Let's see if this is going to behave the same way. So if I shut this down and I wait for like 10 seconds, will the contents of the static RAM still be there? No, but it is grumpy. Run, stop, restore. Okay, so we know now that it's related to the static RAM. So this should go away once the dynamic RAM. I have the cartridge here somewhere. We'll run the diagnostic. The diagnostic should erase the RAM. Okay. RAM test 1. RAM test 2. And once RAM test 2 says okay, then we shut it off and start it cold. Okay. So the static RAM is not as great of a solution as it's presented to be. There we go. Okay, we're back. Let's go games. Okay. Pit stop, power drift, Sentinel. Boulder Dash, Bounty Bob. Possible mission. Ah! Okay. This is probably the best game I can get set up and running in a reasonable time. It is basically I wouldn't say it's the Commodore Communities version, but basically this is as close as you can get, or as close as you could get to Sonic the Hedgehog on the Commodore until somebody actually ported Sonic the Hedgehog to the Commodore 64 like a year and change ago. But I don't think I can actually play it because I think it needs a RAM expansion to play. I'll have to look that. I'll have to actually, while this is loading, I can look that up. So it requires. This game's release is free down. Requires a Commodore 64 or 128 running in 64 mode and a compatible RAM expansion unit containing 256 kilobytes or more. And any joystick or gamepad. On NTSC, a Commodore 128 or CPU accelerator is recommended. Why would an accelerator be recommended for NTSC? But seems sluggish and slow to me, but I live in NTSC land, not PAL land. So, interestingly, the Commodore 64 can have more than 64 kilobytes of RAM in it. You can get expansion bays that, like, expansion units that go into the cartridge port. Don't worry, the flashing is normal. I suppose I should have warned about flashing lights. You know what? Let's cheat. Let's cheat. Feck it. Why not? Loading the... Return to quit. Here we are. So where am I going to get a RAM expansion unit? I don't even think There's not really a lot that requires a RAM expansion unit, except Sonic the Hedgehog. I wonder if I can make a clone. I bet you somebody's made a clone. You know, while this is... Okay. Oh, he didn't say Owl Nation. He said AWOL Nation. Aww. God, my reading is... My speed reading of this kind of stuff isn't so great. Okay, so the plot of this is that you're this little bastard, and you're called Mayhem. And Mayhem needs to get some magic dust and go find a hermit. And this hermit can use the magic dust you find and can bring happiness back to parts of Monsterland. And it's down there. It's that thing down there. That's the pit where the hermit lives. So you're supposed to find, I think... Okay, so it says magic 8. So I'm supposed to find more magic dust. I think it's that I have 8 more to find, not that I have 8 right now. Yeah, that's exactly it. Actually, this runs very well as well. This was a crapshoot. This was a crapshoot before the rebuild. So I think the next thing is static RAM. Getting rid of the static RAM and putting dynamic back in. Because yes, a lot of functions of the Commodore 64 are do expect that the RAM is very rapidly deteriorating and needs to be refreshed every few milliseconds. So a lot of functions seem to be hinging on that, like why I couldn't drop back into BASIC, or a little while earlier, why I could not get out of Auf Wiedersehen Monty. I could get it to corrupt to the point where it was unplayable, but I couldn't get out of it. Okay, so I need 3 more. So the reason I say that this is as close as you can get to Sonic until the port happened was one of your powers is just running extremely fast. Like that's basically it. Okay, and those that I'm going through at that moment, those archways, those are my respawn point. So if I really wanted to, there was a particular place I wanted to be, I could just go through that portal, then run all the way to the other side of a level, and then just, like, jump off a cliff. And just teleport back. Alright, let's go see the Hermit. You see, now it's moving. And there he is. Well done, Mayhem. You have collected enough magic dust for me to spread across Jellyland. I can now make it a happy place once more. So interestingly, this is supposed to be a spiritual successor to the game Creatures I played earlier, and the one I was talking about, a guy getting mangled with a chainsaw. But it's not like that at all in here. This is... I'm sorry, I love this. It's great. Just here for a second before bed, but what hardware is this? I'm glad you swung in, Sunfall. I just got the Commodore 64 rebuilt and running moderately okay. A lot better than it was, but it's still got problems. And I think the problems are implementation, not a hardware issue. So this game actually runs now, which it normally couldn't. Thank you, I appreciate it. So this game is Mayhem in Monsterland. Alright, so that was phase 1. So now the second phase is, instead of collecting magic dust to try and recover Monsterland, I'm now collecting enough stars to open a portal and get out of here. This has got to be some sort of recent homebrew. This is long. Has strong. We're pushing the C64 to ridiculous levels energy. You'd think so, but this is from 1993. But there's a lot of demo scene tech going on to pull this off. Interestingly, I was trying to actually get a demo to run, but I was not having a lot of luck. It was kind of fighting me. And I think I know why. But you also well, 93 would have been diehard programmers, given that it was well after the end of the C64's lifespan. That's right, yeah. It's... Actually, yeah, you're right, because they finally just, like, stopped selling the Commodore 64 at all, I think, in about 1995? Like, they let it run for a long time, but not infinitely, like, not obscenely long. I think they were letting it develop for about 15-ish years. No, not, yeah, 15? No, 10. Not 15, 10 years. My brain's a bit pudding today. Actually, I had a... So, we now have, more or less, the Commodore ready for games. And maybe part of the Golf Challenge. So that's... Actually, I think this is... As much as I appreciate this platform a lot, I think this computer is the one that's going to bring me the most dread. When it comes to the Golf Challenge, at least. Because... this platform is the one I think that most people know of, but have no, like, notable or extensive records of in terms of software. We have this problem where most of the software written for this is gone now. Or, I shouldn't say gone, but is lost. And so, there's gonna be time and time again where, if the challenge ever did get finished, I'd need to come back over and over and over again for, like, 1 or 2 golf games that were probably made for the 64 at some point. But the advantage to that is that there's probably never really going to be a lot... there isn't really going to be a shortage of... shortage of games for this thing. Oh. I can't believe I did that. There's my Sonic adjunct hit. Alright, I'm yawning like crazy, passing out. Good luck. Well, thanks, and thanks for swinging by. And you actually came in at a great time, because we're going to be wrapping up in about 5 minutes. I really only did the stream tonight because I got this thing to start and run, and I wanted to put it through its paces with a recording. So, you came in, and a perfect time to see it. But you rest well. You have a good night. Ow. Oh. I thought I could sneak in under him. Yeah, the colors aren't the greatest in this. Well, in Commodores anyway, but it's not so much like not so much the colors in of themselves that you need to be concerned about. It's how you how you use them. I'm kind of glad I put the trainer in, or enabled the enabled parts of the trainer. I really just want to experience the game right now, not really go through the skill wall right now. Also, I need it to be stressed a bit. I don't need it, like, I don't need to... How do I put this? I'm playing to test it out, not playing to be good right now. Damn it. Now I'm just tilting. Okay, I want to get this level done. Then I think for the V-Stream side, we should find a nice meteor shower to go to, or like to go do. And then if there's... I did it again. If there's anyone on the Twitch side, then we'll do a raid somewhere as well. That didn't count? Okay, I think I just need to be careful, and then I can tank that hit to get across that huge gap. Careful. Perfect. You little bastard. Jump. I'm sure this person's got... Oh, nothing. Nothing. Oh, now they're gonna be stingy, huh? There we go. Okay, so 45 more stars. Oh, I can actually exit already. Alright, let's see if it actually loads the second level. Track 24. Well, what do you know? It's holding its own. Okay. We have succeeded. So, here's what I'd like to test now. I'm going to shut it off, and we're going to see how long the data holds for this game. So I kind of want to let it corrupt a little bit and see what happens. Okay, so we're going to go off. Let's go for 20 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I have a timer right here, the time elapsed. So we're going to go till 2 hours, 3 minutes, and 40 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, let's see how it behaves. Very grumpy. Very grumpy. Okay, so we know it's not a hardware issue anymore. It is... the contents are still in RAM, and so it's kind of running them still. The run, stop, restore doesn't work. So I think I do need to modify this board to implement... Okay, so this was an old mod you could do, because like I mentioned before, there is a... See, there we go. Now, the data... the data eroded enough that it doesn't think it's there anymore and started up what it should have. Okay, there was a... The cartridge port pin has a circuit to basically do a hard reset of the Commodore, but they don't have a button for the user. And so there's a common mod to just use that circuit to do the hard reset yourself. So I might be inclined to put that in. But that's a later time. Probably when I'm doing work to change the RAM out is when we'll do that. So... let's take a look here at let's go this. All right. So they don't seem to have, on the Twitch side, I don't know, it doesn't really seem to be anyone right now, so I don't really think there's any reason to, like, raid to somebody, because, well, nobody's there. But that's okay. This is kind of impromptu anyway, plus it's, numbers don't really matter to me. It's just no sense raiding to somebody with nobody there. Just kind of looks like attention grabbing. But we do have folks on the V-Stream side, maybe. So let's do this. I'd like to take some time, and we'll take a moment or two, and go through the live list and see if there's somebody we can do a meteor shower. Actually, you know what we'll do? We'll do this so we get some nice background music. Damn it, the clock is broken again. There we go. So, let's do this. I'll put the music back on so we have something to go do here. Or something to listen to, so it's not just deafening silence. And let's see, we'll send off the Twitch side. So we actually got to do a good check of this machine. We've seen what it's capable of doing. Some of the like really top end stuff we weren't really able to pull off, which I kind of expected. I was secretly hoping, but I kind of expected that. For games, it runs great. Multi-disc games, I've not tested yet. Maybe I'll do some more poking and prodding at this a little bit later, but I'd like to give this another fair shake once the dynamic RAM comes in. A lot of these weird things we were seeing will probably go away when that happens. Full diagnostic showed everything else is okay. Ooh! There's actually one more thing I want to test. There's one more thing I want to test. This was... Okay, so one of the reasons this took so long to do, like, took so long to get ready, is because the person who made this reproduction board added some enhancements, but one of the enhancements caught me flat-footed, which was that if you were a Commodore owner, it was very common for your boot ROM, your basic ROM, which is your operating system, and your... Basically, it was your entry point to execute any software. And the character ROMs would frequently fail, but they weren't exactly proprietary, but the contents were proprietary, and the chip number, like the part number, was unique. And it was really hard for common, users to access that, or get access to those chips. So it was very common to use a particular type of flash, and it was a lot easier for the consumer to get. And so this guy chose to remod the board to take those flash chips, but I don't have those. I have the original style of ROM, like a drop-in replacement of the original ROMs. But what this means is that these flash chips are oversized, which means he also placed a jumper bank. So you can do like an array of jumpers. So you can basically do bank switching to different areas of the RAM of the ROM in 64 kilobyte windows. Sorry, kilobit windows, and these are 512 kilobit chips. Sorry, kilobit EPROMs, which means you could hold about 8 different payloads. I only flashed 2. I flashed the Mega 65's open ROM set. So let's see if it goes goofy. Well, look at that. Open ROM's generic build, release dev 2108FC1. So there we go. We even have a custom... We can load custom images. Actually, I want to see something really goofy. I gotta see now. I have to see. I have to. I know I said I'd be going to bed, but I gots to know. I gots to know. Loading from 0801. Track 3. Okay, so it is pulling data. It is actually loading it. Okay, so the open ROMs. Okay, so there's a little bit of history here while this is loading. It was supposed to be an intermediate model of Commodore computer that was a cross between a Commodore 64 and a Commodore Amiga. And the Amiga was this high-end multimedia computer that had a big fancy GUI out of the box, and, well, the Commodore 64 is, well, this. What the 60... So they were going to make something called the 65. And the 65 was kind of this, like, transition machine for folks who invested a lot of money and software into the 64. And it got canceled. So somebody managed to get documentation and start like a non-profit and re-engineered the 65, then made basically a super powered Commodore 64, actually a 65, and then all the technology they used to make the 65, they managed to make a 128 and a 64 run under it. And so now they have this like super retro computer basically. They reverse engineered all of the ROMs to kind of shake the copyright issues that this whole thing has. Commodore's dead, but they chose when they died, and so they sold all of their intellectual property off as they sunk. So it's this kind of free-for-all where some people own some IPs and some copyrights to some things, and some are litigious and some don't care and some have given up. So this is supposed to kind of like smooth all that over. Okay, let's try running a demo using this reverse engineered ROM and see how bad it goes. It's already looking like it's gonna be a trip. Well, okay, that's a lot milder than I thought it would. Actually, that went farther than I thought it ever would. Okay. So we do have the open source ROMs, and I can switch to them, which meant that I burnt the data correctly, but I would like to put the stock data back. Like the stock bank. Now, there's one ROM which I thought was going to be a tremendous pain in the ass. So I'd like to test it as well before we wrap up tonight. And that is the font ROM. So the guy chose to use a 512K EEPROM for the font, which means you can hold 16 fonts, but no reasonable person would ever want that many. Like how the keyboard's gotten a little more responsive since I've been bashing it. Okay, one more attempt at running the demo before I leave, before I actually wrap it up. But yeah, let's have a look at. Give it a go. Okay, well, it's still loading in. Track 3. Okay, so that's good. The other thing as well is the guy who made this modification to the board changed some of the circuitry for how you adjust the system clock. So I bet you this thing isn't even running at the proper frequency. And again, a lot of these demos rely very heavily on like bugs and like engineering mistakes of the Commodore and things like exact timings for the clock. And like, sorry, the CPU clock. I do know, however, that the actual like 2 real-time clocks are working. Please insert Edge of Disgrace, Disc 1, Side A. Okay. Okay, so that didn't work. Oh. Well, we tried. Alright, now for reals, let's get over. Let's see. So let's sign off the Twitch side. But I guess we can recap again. So we did manage to get a fair amount out of the way here. We tested if this thing can... Okay, so we went from the most intense thing the Commodore 64 can do to some of the lightest things it can do. And we managed to... We couldn't get demos to run, or specifically multi-disc demos to run. We couldn't get... Well, no, we did manage to get most of the, like, higher-end, more computationally intense games to run. So we're sitting quite pretty. Like, one of the most intense games we can get that's, you know, not actively in production and unaffordable to me is running just fine. And we also tested the bank switching for the kernel ROM, basic ROM, and font ROM. So I'm quite pleased with that, and that was pretty good for like an impulse stream here. Because I know I don't stream on Wednesdays. I normally stream Saturday, Sunday for Twitch, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays for B-stream, but that schedule's kind of gone out the window. Partly work, partly me taking some time to do these types of repairs, which I'm glad I did. I unfortunately am not ready technologically or mentally to stream me doing this type of work directly. So, unfortunately, you're not going to see me do that. But anywho, as I think I'll wrap it up here. So as always, I'm not going to tell you what to do, so I'm not going to tell you to stay out of trouble. But all I ask is that if you do get in trouble, you make sure it's the good kind of trouble. And you all stay safe out there, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye for now.